we're going to dispel some myths around AI. We're going to take you through how AI is being used today. It's all about now. Now. It's not about next week, next month, next year. And then we're going to finish off by giving you some tips and some tricks as to how you can use your favorite generative AI tools. Tomorrow, today, you can leave the AI lab, go out to the back, and I'll give you your money back if you haven't improved how you're using these tools.
It's free.
I can't wink with audio. So my name's Carlo Pepe. I've been in and around new tech since '99. I'm a bit older than I look. When generative AI really first hit mainstream, I went really deep into it. I was able to do an awful lot more than I was able to before I had access to these tools. I was taking work away from my colleagues. At the time, I was in sales for an application modernization company, and I was able to engage with customers, design technical designs, put proposals together without the need of any of these colleagues. So I was really expanding what I was doing, and just the immensity of this technology was so impressive that we wanted to build a business around it. We wanted to guide organizations as to how to use this properly. Don't chase the shiny new thing, but actually do things in a nice, measurable way. There was a statistic that kind of backs this up. 70% of new technology projects fail due to a misalignment to business and stakeholder needs. So my sales and consulting experience, we rolled together. Or I rolled together as one half of Koshima.
And Rob Hayes, so the other half of Koshima, similar background to Carlo in terms of always being in emerging tech. Not as long as Carlo has been, just a couple of years shorter than that, but always been in kind of new emerging technologies, and always trying to look at it from a point of view of how can we make this tangible, how can we make it real, how can we make it available, what's in it for me? And then by extension, what's in it for us, what's in it for everyone here today. And that's a view we take throughout Koshima is making that practical piece. There's obviously been loads of different, I suppose, technology innovations that have come along over time, and it's always this buzz, this is the thing for now, this is the thing for now. And it feels like a lot of the time you never kind of really get there, or it takes a lot longer than we expect. We were saying earlier on, AI is, the term AI was first coined in the 1950s. So AI as a technology has been around a long time. What the difference from the last kind of 2 years has been is the availability and emergence of generative AI. So that's like your tools that we're all a bit more familiar with that we'll go through a little bit later on. And for us, the big focus is how can we take that momentum and again, make it more applicable to a wider audience, but speak it to them in their language.
So a couple of questions just so we can understand the audience.
Easy questions to begin with.
Yeah, very easy. Can you raise your hand if you've ever used something like Google Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, Mistral, Perplexity?
Nearly a full house.
Any of these? So raise your arm if you've...
Even the cameraman's got his hand up.
Keep it up. keep them up. Keep them up. Cool. Okay. If you're using them on a monthly basis or more, keep your hand up. Weekly basis or more, keep your hand up. Daily basis or more?
Oh.
Okay, cool. Arms down. Arms up if you pay for any of these tools, either in your business or personally.
There's professionals right there. There's the pros.
Cool. Nice.
One for people working in business, has your organization, has your company rolled out these tools, or are you using them yourself? So put your hand up if your organization has rolled it out and using it as part of your organization versus you using it yourself.
Oh.
And
careful what you say here.
Half your hand up. Okay. In the process of rolling out. Good.
Okay, and how many of you are using the tools at work, but the company hasn't rolled them out officially?
Yeah.
And this
Sorry,
is,
Carlo, can I just remind everyone this is a safe space?
no, this is a very safe
space. The minute you walked in here, whatever you say, you're completely protected from any
We'll just cut the
corporate
camera.
lawsuits.
Cut the camera. This is a trend that's happening, right? Individuals are using these tools. Humans always find a way, shortest path to get the work done. And that causes a whole load of challenges. Challenges because of individuals maybe not being aware about how data is being used when you're using these tools. There is also some other factors that come into play. Chris has mentioned the word shame. People being ashamed of them. Well, not ashamed, but maybe hiding the fact that they're using these tools.
Cheating.
That was the word you used, cheating.
All right, so let's kick into it. So done with ourselves and Excel. So Excel Mia run by Ian over there. Say hello, Ian. Ian says hello. So it's a JV between the two of us. And obviously FESPA. So thank you, FESPA, for having us.
So the world is obsessed, or has three obsessions, has obsessions in three areas with AI. But actually, that's not correct. These are distractions. And what are these? So the first one is we have use cases. Every time we go into a customers asking for use cases. Tell me what AI can do in my business. And actually, when we first started the organization, on our consulting practice, we refused to go into businesses with a big list of use cases. This is the approach that the big vendors take, who we're very friendly with, we work with, so there's nothing bad being said about the big vendors. But typically they would go into an organization, they would say, you are retail, here's 25 use cases in retail, which do you like? Let's do a proof of concept. Let's get that going for you. But that's the wrong approach, right? There are loads and loads and loads of use cases. Even if you were to ask ChatGPT what are use cases in marketing within the digital print, it would just reel them off. And when it stopped, you could say, give me some more. And just that will keep going infinitely. The next one is, what tools are there? There are so many tools that keep coming out on a weekly basis. And there are enhancements to those tools. So you've got two I think this is a problem area rather than an area of interest from the point of view of, I don't know if there is a tool that can do the job. There are new tools coming on. There are old tools which are being enhanced. And the new tools which are coming are kind of changing face because they're being enhanced so much so quickly. To the point where you will see something that we refer to as a tool wheel. And we used to update this for every consulting engagement. We don't bother anymore because there's just no point to it. It's just a thankless task. It doesn't really add any value. And then the last one is AI is out to get me. In red. Right. It's coming for me. It's coming for my job. Now, let me give you the reality from our perspective. So the reality is that today, AI is there to support you. It's there to enhance what you're doing. It's there to take away those necessary, evil, menial, administrative tasks that you need to do in order to perform your job. You need to inform your CEO about what's going on in the organization. That task is sitting with the CEO and informing. But actually, there's a whole load of work you need to do to be able to get to that point. So if we can use these tools to be able to help that upfront work so that you're able to be prepared and sit with your CEO, then you're able to do more of the actual task, more of the job, rather than the pre-work to do that task. So AI is here at the moment to help, support, and augment us. However, you look far into the future, and we can't tell the future. You've got people like Elon Musk talking about universal credit because he's concerned that a lot of the jobs that we have now, or the jobs that we know today, might not be there in 30, 40 years' time. And maybe that timeline is a little earlier. But certainly for now and for the future that we can see, it's here to support us, it's here to help us, it's here to augment us. Anything you'd add to that, Rob?
Yeah, I would just put one other point on that of Sam Altman. People may or may not have heard the name. For those who haven't, he's the founder, CEO of OpenAI, the guys who created ChatGPT. He came out, I think it was early last year, and said he reckoned that we will have the first single person billion-dollar company in 2025 or 2026. So what that means is one company, one person, only one person involved in the company, one employee, and the value of that company will get to $1 billion because of what he sees AI being able to do. Now, he is on the forefront of it. He's created one of the leading technologies in the space. So he would be able to imagine and see a lot further ahead than a lot of us would. But that's where he envisaged this being able to go in terms of that ability to augment, to help assist us, to help direct us, to help improve us, to help make us more efficient.
Now, if you were in one of the earlier sessions, I mentioned that my personal point of view, and Rob and myself debate this quite often, is that the tools that you know to be AI tools, the OpenAI, ChatGPT, the Minstrel, all of these, I see these as productivity tools. I can do the amount of work that each of us can do by using these tools properly is insane. I mean, it blows our mind every time. And when we see videos of some of these vendors coming up with new use cases or slight little tweaks to what they have at the moment, we look at what they're doing from a conceptual point of view rather than the actual activity that they're doing. I remember back when GPT-4 came out, OpenAI had a video that showed ChatGPT singing in unison, two voices singing together. And they were out of sync and they became in sync. And I thought, well, you missed the point there. Why don't I have two strategists working together to improve an idea? So if you think of things from a conceptual point of view, within your productivity, day-to-day productivity, something you're doing in one area, maybe one area of your business marketing, can be applied from a conceptual point of view in other areas. So what we're going to do is we're going to dispel the myth and the focus or the distraction of what are the use cases and what are the tools. There are so many that you don't need to be focusing on this. However, don't take my word for it. We've prepared a few what we call tool wheels.
Just to help illustrate it. So if we look at HR, and this isn't the full exhaustive list. As Carlo mentioned, you have a 2-minute conversation with ChatGPT. You say, give me use cases for generative AI in HR space. It will give you a list. When it stops, ask it for more, and it will keep going and going and going. So here's just a list that we have a couple of different areas of focus and different use cases in there. If we look at performance management as an example, self-assessments. If you sit there, you write your self-assessment, how much time do you put into it? Is it really something you just do when you're told at the end of the year you have to get this in? The next step, how much time does someone actually spend looking at it? Does your manager who has 10, 15, 20 people reporting into them, do they go through everyone in detail? Do they go and sit and compare that to the last self-assessment you did, compare to your KPIs or goals, all of your other performance metrics? They would all like to say, yes, they do. And then they go, but I've got a day job. So as much as I'd like to do this, as much as HR tells me to do this, I have to be real about what I can do and what I can't do. Using a generative AI tool to be able to just feed in all that data into it and go, okay, give me the self-assessment for Carlo. What did he write about himself? What's his goals? How's he tracking? How is he doing all this? But go a little bit further. What do we recommend changes? How is he tracking against what we said we'd do last year? Little elements like that just make the process a lot more efficient, a lot more streamlined. We could look at doing, one of my favorites personally, job description drafting. Okay, if you work in HR, This should take 5 minutes. You speak to HR people, they'll go, it takes hours. And why does it take hours? Because they have to go speak to a hiring manager. They normally send them a template. The hiring manager ignores the template for 2 weeks because they're doing all the other things they're doing. The deadline they're told is you need it by Friday at 3 o'clock. Friday at 2:45, they sit down, they start looking at it. They send back a very bad description. HR then like, well, this is awful. We can't do anything with it. But by the way, here is our response as a job description that we're looking for. Can you review it? And the hiring manager goes, this is nothing what I really want. Like, well, it has what you give us. Imagine being able to sit there and go, okay, Carlo's the hiring manager, I'm the HR person. Carlo, we're going to jump on a 20-minute call, and all I want you to do is word vomit. What you want. What you want from this person, what you want them to do in the role, what type of experience you're looking for, what type of background you're looking for specifically for this person in your team. So let's not go generic. Let's go for where you've identified a specific gap. We can come off that call. I can take the transcription, give it to something like ChatGPT, and 2 minutes, I have the full job description written out based on the requirements. Send it back, Carlo sense checks it, happy out. One of the things Carlo touched on was it's here to help take away those boring administrative menial tasks. One of the other things it brings to the table is it makes tasks like that actually a little bit more enjoyable. And we all know when you've got a massive to-do list and you're looking there and you're like, right, I've got 100 things, where do I start? Do you start with the things you hate or do you start with the things you enjoy? Start with the things we enjoy. So it has the ability to help us enjoy some of those other tasks, make them more efficient, and actually give us better returns, better benefit from them.
So what you're seeing here are the tools that are mapped to the use cases. So each section had the use case. Rob, can you just go back to the use case? So let's take talent acquisition, interview scoring right at the bottom. Go back to the tools. We now have a dedicated tool for that use case. Cool. Loads of use cases, loads of tools. That actually presents a bit of a problem, doesn't it, Rob? Because if...
Can I buy all of these?
Well, you can buy all of them, but do you want to spend the
HR.
money on all of them? So potentially, if you're looking at a use case and you're looking for a tool for that use case, you're going to end up with a massive outlay of loads of different tools. And that comes with loads of complexity. So the use cases and the tools, completely relevant, but they're a distraction. That shouldn't be your focus. We'll go on to what should be your focus later, but I think we really want to ram this message home. So sales.
So if we look at sales again, use cases, let's go with personalized sales. We've had a bit of personalization during some of yesterday's sessions as well. So personalized sales, custom proposals, cross-selling, being able to identify who is maybe a good customer for a cross-sell, upsell. No reason why AI can't do that. Why should we as people have to sit down, look through loads and loads of data and identify these? Give it to an AI tool. Let that identify the areas for you. Also, what it's very, very good at is being able to identify trends that we haven't necessarily seen ourselves, because it can analyze and review a lot more data a lot faster than we can. So some of the things we really like to do is when we're working with some of these tools and giving them a data set, yes, I'll tell it maybe to give me insights kind of within certain areas I'm looking for, but other times I'll just give it a blanket open statement to tell me what you see and see what it gives back to me, see what insights I can get back out of it. Sales forecasting. Who loves sales forecasting? I can see all the smiles and hands up.
I hated it because I get challenged by my sales manager.
Yep. Humans, we like to be, especially in sales, salespeople are optimistic, positive, and they like to, a lot of them like to overcommit. Shock horror. Whether they're overcommitting to a customer or whether they're overcommitting to their management and leadership team around the sales numbers that they're going to hit and forecasting, etc. Again, why not use AI tools to be able to help us with that? To be able to go and say, well, actually, realistically, here's the trends we have seen. We normally take rough rules of thumb of maybe you need to have 2x, 3x, 4x your pipeline. Why does it have to be that number? Every sales rep is very, very different. They work different ways. So can't we get to a personalized piece where, based on Carlo's experience, my experience, based on how I worked previously, here is the kind of pipeline that maybe you need to have. Here's the expected close rate. And also, help me identify gaps. Help me identify where I don't have the right information. Help me, rather than thinking I have a good relationship with this customer, and I feel this to close, be objective about it. Another thing AI is very, very good at.
And then again, guess what? There's a tool for each one of these use cases. These are, you'll find in some of these that there's a tool that will do a few different things, right? Salesforce. This is Einstein, actually. This is the second. Oh, there's IBM Watson have come out twice. And Salesforce actually have come out twice with AI in their offering. They had Einstein about 10 years ago, which was using some of the older generation, very important even for now, generative AI, machine learning and things like that, to be able to help the sales teams in forecasting, predicting trouble, in opportunities, propensity to buy, that sort of thing. But it died a death. And they re-released Einstein last year, was it, I think?
Yeah.
Beginning of last year, because I remember there was it Pipe Drive? No, it wasn't Pipe Drive. We were doing consulting with an oil and gas company who, they have just one component, like a flow meter. And they were using Salesforce. How can we use AI? Yeah, Einstein's not very good. And then the next day they released the new Einstein, which is fantastic. So you'll find that there are some tools who cover some multiple use cases. But again, you're not necessarily going to use a tool for each use case, The message here is, let's just relax a little bit. There's no need to get our knickers in a twist, I bet you like that one, on use cases and tools. And this goes on and on and on. What do we have next? Marketing.
Marketing, same. Which area do we want to pick to focus on? What use case do you want to hit? Chris is getting very interested now. All of a sudden, he's like, yeah, why didn't I see this before? Social media listening. That's been around for a long time. All right, being able to drag trends on social media, follow hashtags, etc., things like that. One of the big changes that's come with generative AI in this space is the ability to do sentiment analysis. So instead of just looking for keywords and trends, actually gathering the sentiment of what's being said. So someone posts a comment somewhere, is the sentiment negative or positive? Usually we used to do just off keywords. If they mentioned negative keywords, we knew it was negative. If they mentioned positive keywords, we knew it was positive. Now a lot of people are sarcastic. So at times you'd see a comment going in that would be sarcastic, maybe flagged as positive when it should have been negative, or vice versa. Now we're able to do sentiment analysis, as an example. Guess what? There's tools for nearly everything out there that matches that as well. Chris is now really interested.
Best thing you shared all day, lads.
There we go.
There's one thing I wanted to put, just to go back to the concepts point of view. Sentiment analysis in marketing. Great. What about sentiment analysis in meetings? So let's say you're using Microsoft Teams, online meeting. You can record and transcribe that Teams meeting. You've now got a long transcript. You can use AI. You can use ChatGPT. Feed it into ChatGPT. Give me the main points. Who said what? Action points. Who committed to what? What are the timelines? Great. Who was upset in that meeting? Who was debating certain points? Was there any animosity? Was there any cause for concern? Now, it's only looking at words. It's not listening to tone of voice and things like that. Today. But just wanted to get your mind into that concept point of view. If you had a dispute between employees at work, or if you had an angry customer, your customer service is speaking to a very angry customer, or a complaint comes in, you don't know if they're angry or not. Take the transcription, sentiment analysis. Whoever is the escalation point is then going into that meeting with the customer better prepared. I know they're really angry. Oh, I think this is like a soft topic. So from a conceptual point of view, one use case in one function can apply to other use cases and other functions, which actually makes our lives a bit easier.
Definitely. I'll just take meetings a bit further. What's the difference between a one-to-one with your manager and an interview? It's a one-to-one meeting with a person. We just call it something different. Put the same concept in there. Where we're getting towards, mainly where I've seen it for interviews, is camera, and we'll start reading body language. We'll start listening to tone of voice, saying it's coming. where you then, the moment the interview finishes, you get a report back saying the person was optimistic, positive, negative. This is the piece where maybe they were a little bit nervous on some of the questions. Actually, they were very relaxed during the whole interview. Makes you think, right, they're comfortable, this is an area that they're okay with. Such a little bits and pieces like that we're beginning to see come true, that then you could see the same concept being applied into other types of meetings.
But if you know how to prompt, that's already there.
Yeah.
So pretty sure it's Gemini now is able to read your screen, tell you what's going on with your screen. It's also able to read what's going on your camera lens. So, you know, we're kind of stitching stuff together here. So it is possible, but it's a bit dirty, but it would work. You could have Gemini viewing a camera and looking for body language, posture, that sort of thing. It's a bit of a hack. I mean, we like to hack these tools. So a bit of a workaround. You can almost always find a way, but sentiment analysis with body language, posture, and that sort of thing, we could stitch that together.
Marketing tools, we talked about. Operations, again, which area of operations would you like to focus on? Use cases, use cases, use cases. Guess what? Would you believe? There's tools that also exist that does all of that as well.
Sorry, Rob, I think it's hilarious. Every time you go to a different department, like a different collection of cameras get put up to take pictures of the slide.
And that's because I think through the media, through LinkedIn, through YouTube, whatever you're watching, the world is distracted with use cases and with tools. This is our fascination, right? I guess as humans, we like the new shiny thing, and we get distracted by it. And actually, we get away from that, and we're a bit of a broken record because we really, really feel it's a duty that we need to reinforce the fact that these are distractions. You need to look internally at what's going on in your business, where these bottlenecks are, where the opportunities are in terms of improvements. And then you can look at this stuff, but you're being guided. You're not just going out there and then trying to find a use for it. You're identifying what you need. Also, when the vendors come to you and they say, oh, I've got something, you can now lead that conversation if you've looked internally at what you need, rather than them saying, oh, that's cool. Yeah, let us do a demo. We'll do a proof of concept. And then in your brain, you're trying to figure out, well, how does this fit into my business? It must be good. Microsoft are in front of me or Google are in front of me, and they're telling me it's good. On and on and on.
So again, we get into planning. Planning is probably one of the best ones in terms of it's behind the scenes. It's really administrative heavy. It's normally a lot of Excel-based work. It's normally a lot of research-based work. Great for AI tools, generative AI tools, to help you speed up all that process. And again, Chris, cameras back up, taking pictures of that again. And again, tools.
So I'm getting bored now of tools and use cases.
I think we've one more left. Last one, leadership. So again, where in leadership would you like it to help you? And a set of tools. Carlo and I play every Monday morning at the start of the week. We sit down. We've these printed off. We play bingo for the week. So as we look at our LinkedIn feed, every time we see somebody showcasing a tool with one of these use cases, we mark it off. The goal is to try and complete one of the wheels in a week. Haven't quite got there yet, but we've had a couple of close ones.
And this just reinforces the world's fascination. Like it's wrong. It's the wrong focus. So it's not your focus. What is your focus? So
there we go.
Thank you.
It's like we've done this before.
Although we don't really rehearse these. So what is the focus? Focus is identifying where in your business you have bottlenecks, frustrations, you have inefficiencies, or you have opportunities to be able to improve.
I was going to go back to one point Carlo said around when you're looking and you're seeing all these use cases come up on LinkedIn, or you're even here and you take away the picture from today and you're like, all these potential examples. Again, they're there. when you have somebody come in and say, here is a great use case, this might fit, one of the big things we see happening afterwards is they've looked at something, you've looked at something, said, I'll do a proof of concept in this. You run your proof of concept, and then only afterwards you realize going, I didn't actually know what problem I was trying to fix in the first place. So I've done this new shiny thing, I've done this proof of concept because maybe a Microsoft, a Google, whoever it might be has come in and said, hey, do this for free, 1 month, 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever it might be. And at the end of the process, you're like, that was great, but I don't know if it worked because I don't actually know what it did for my business. And the reason I don't know it is because at the very start, I didn't know what problem I was trying to fix. So it's very hard to actually then measure afterwards to go, oh, well, this was my problem, so let's now fix this. Versus, as we said, come in the other way, identify your problem, know the area you want to focus on, know what success looks like. So have that parameter of, I want to see a 5%, I want to see a 500% improvement in this. Then look to find your tool. Then look to do your proof of concept. And then you know whether you want to continue moving ahead with that after proof of concept or not.
Rob, I want to go a bit off piste.
Yep. Shock horror.
Yeah, I love going off piste. So how should you do this in your business? We follow design thinking, 5 stages to design thinking. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test. Forget about the last 2. Empathize. Get your teams together and get them to just very openly talk about some of the challenges that they have. Where we like to think of these are goals, objectives, challenges, and missed opportunities. Get an open conversation there. List these out. You then need to define them. So how much of a problem are each of these problems? The problem that we found with the design thinking was that in our consulting, customers found it very difficult to actually put definition down. When they speaking about their problems with us, actually they were talking about the consequence of the problem, not the actual problem itself. So we came up with what we call the Koshima time framework, where we ask our customers to look at their challenges in 4 currencies. Money hurts, right? Making money is good, losing money hurts, so we look at these as currencies. T stands for time. How much time is needed in any goal, objective, tasks, opportunities, etc. I is investment of resources. How many people are you pulling into this? How much of your infrastructure are you pulling in? Tools, etc., etc. M stands for money. Is this cash generating or is this a cost center? And E are experiences. So experiences of internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, customers. Happy employees work better. Happy customers spend more.
So with that, obviously you'd love to be able to hit all 4. So you'd love to be able to go, yeah, this scores high on all 4 of them. It takes me a lot of time. It's very expensive. It leads to a very bad experience. Normally found, if you're hitting 2 of those, it's a good place to look at going, okay, this is worth exploring a bit further. All right? And a lot of people, for me, the interesting one a lot of the time is the experience. That's the one people kind of tend to forget about. They focus on, it takes me too long, I don't like doing it. They focus on maybe the amount of time they spend on something. But it's the customer experience element. Can we give our customers a better experience? Can we give our employees a better experience? As Carlo said, happy workers, more efficient, happy customers, more money.
So it helps validate what the challenges are. But actually, when you then start thinking, you go to the next stage of ideating. How can we solve these challenges? With the definition, you can then identify which one to solve first, because it's the most pressing, has the biggest impact to the business or to the stakeholders, and therefore the biggest opportunity at providing value at a business or a stakeholder value perspective. So the definition, you can then put the highest priority, focus on those guys.
It also helps you set your KPIs. So as you're going through in each stage and you're executing on a transformational project involving AI, it allows you to then kind of measure going, all right, are we still on the right path? Are we seeing the benefits we expected to see? Okay, well, I'll bring you back onto the main run now.
I'm back on piste.
Okay.
Sorry.
So at this point, guys, we've been on stage. We will happily talk about this all day. Any questions? Anybody?
We've got to
any
get a
questions
couple of
so far?
questions. Come on, guys.
I'll go on.
Chris.
Can we
Chris.
get a copy of that wheel so we can...
The marketing wheel you want, or you want all of
I'll
it?
give you every one but the marketing one. That's we keep that. You can have the rest.
So yeah, we're happy to share these afterwards.
Yep.
So at the moment it's based on experience of what your business has seen. It's not predicting, or it's not going to look at where you're going, or what I would imagine artificial intelligence does is tell me where I should be going or how I should be getting there, rather than what I've done and what was successful, what was not successful. That's more analyzing, I would say.
So I suppose it really comes into when we look at artificial intelligence, it's got a massive definition. Okay, a lot of people, when we do a lot of our sessions, a lot of people go, when we ask them what is artificial intelligence, they say ChatGPT. And you're like, okay, it's been around for a lot longer. So there's many encompassing elements that fall under that umbrella. Where a lot of it stems from is that underlying data piece. So if you have that in your organization, yes, it's great to be able to look back. As a result of being able to look back, it can help you predict what might be coming going forward, or help you better plan for going forward. But that's only one of the use cases that exists. Being able to look point in time now, and being able to get analysis out of now, and maybe instead of having to predict 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, how about just predicting 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Again, it's this, for me, for us, it's this big piece around practicality and insights. What can I start with today? And then what can I move on to as we begin to scale and grow? It doesn't have to be a big transformation piece overnight. Any other questions?
No?
Take no? Okay.
If you turn off training mode, are you still at risk of data leakage into the system?
So, no. That no comes down to your belief and your confidence in what the vendors are telling you. There's no way of proving this, right? I'm going to say something that stays between us. Right? This, I would never advise a company in our consulting practice this. I'd have a side conversation, but you allowing any of these large language models to use your data is a bit like pouring a cup of coffee into the sea. No one's ever going to be able to reconstruct that as a cup of coffee. It's so diluted. So if you were to pour your company's secrets into one of these large language models, yeah, it helps the model for sure, but is one of your competitors going to ask if FESPA is doing 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8? No. Well, no. Would someone be able to take a sample of that sea, do a load of analysis and tell there's been coffee in it? Probably, maybe, I don't know. Probably not. So I think that's the reality. But then when we look at a governance, risk and compliance standpoint, when you look at the qualities that I've lost a word here now, but you're looking at your commitment to your customers and to the market. If you are a publicly traded organization, absolutely, you cannot even take that risk. Even if it's a tiny little risk, you can't do that. So turn the training data off, and then you're putting faith into the vendor that they're doing what they promised that they will do. And we do this all day, every day. I mean, if you're using Microsoft Azure, the cloud, or Google Cloud, or Amazon Web Services, you are trusting that the virtual private network, the country that your server is in, the data is staying there. So there is this faith and this trust.
I would say the other piece to that is as well, or the other way of looking at something like that, Google have their model Gemini. One of the things that makes Gemini different from OpenAI's model is the data it was trained on. Google was trained on your Gmail, or Gemini was trained on your Gmail. So can I go to Gemini and say, can you tell me Rob Hayes' last 5 emails? Can you tell me what newsletter Rob Hayes is subscribed to? Gemini doesn't have that answer. So even though it's been trained and it's gone through all my data, the other side is that these companies providing these platforms, they also do a big effort to do data masking. So even if data or personal information kind of slips out of your net into the bigger net, they're still trying to capture and mask all of that, so it still doesn't go to anyone else anyway.
Rob, who was the CTO of Sora? What was her name? I can't remember her name. I mean, we don't speak about her name. So OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, they have a generative AI video model called Sora. It was in the background for a long time. It got released on their 12 days of Christmas. There is a very awkward video that you'll find on YouTube of a journalist asking her questions just to get to understand Sora. And she asked, where's the data that you trained this model come from? And this is playing to your point, Graham, of the trust, right? So she said, publicly available information. Cool. So the journalist is prying, looking for a story. So does that include YouTube? And she goes back and she's like, it's publicly available data. Does that include YouTube? So this goes backwards and forwards to the point where she's so uncomfortable that she says, I don't know. So we have to put trust in these organizations, and we all do. The reality is, the fear, I guess, is that our secrets are leaked and available by someone else. The reality of that, my personal view is, very negligible. Yeah. Any other questions? Cool.
Okay. So big mantra that we have at Koshima is think big, but start small. And we'll have talked about this a couple times in the panel session earlier on and today around it's great to have this long-term transformational vision, whether I'm looking at one process or 10 processes. It's great to see where I can help me transform my organization across the board. Fantastic. But start small. Right? And we mean start small in your use cases. Start small in the time scales which you want to execute and deliver on that use case. And also start small in your investment. All right? It doesn't need to be a big transformation. I need to do it all in one go. It will be a start small and let it grow it out. One of the other reasons for this is also, this isn't a kind of one and done project. Which? Oh, sorry. This isn't a one and done project either. All right, this is a continuous, when you decide you want to embrace AI and you begin working on the use cases you showcased earlier on, it's not, I've done that use case and that's it. Those use cases will continue to expand. They'll continue to grow out. So that's why the start small and then keep growing is massively important.
Building confidence is key. This is again reinforces our belief that working in the business functions rather than the core business activity is the best way for organizations to start. If you get something wrong in marketing, you just upset Chris. You're not cannibalizing your organization. If a lot of companies, typical first use case actually for any organization is to create an internal tool for human resources so that employees can go and they can go to a chatbot. What is the policy for this? What is the policy for that? What is the leave policy? Et cetera, et cetera. This is a typical first use case that big organizations use. Because it's something internal, you can't do much damage. People can see it. But more importantly, you build confidence. So when you start small, you take that first step, something highly visible like HR builds confidence, everyone's using it, and I'm just getting closer to you, Rob, and then build and build and build. So for me, the confidence and driving progress is key. And actually, when we go back to our consulting, we identify use cases and we have quick win, medium term, long-term vision. And quite often we advocate a quick win, try something like a custom ChatGPT, which we will explain what is later. But that's something that can be done on the desktop, within the team. You're proving the concept and you're showing some value. It's a very quick first step, almost zero investment, and a huge potential for value.
The other piece around building confidence is it's a couple of different forms. One, it's to your question, it's the how can I build confidence that my data will be okay? And the moment I turn this on, it won't all get leaked straight out. Carlo talked about a point earlier on that 70% of new IT transformation projects fail because they don't have stakeholder alignment. A lot of that, one of those big reasons is because employees don't actually embrace the transformation. A new tool will be rolled out to them that's supposed to transform your organization. Guess what? If employees don't use it, the transformation doesn't happen. And how many times have we seen where it's come in, yeah, we'll roll out this great tool, it does all this great stuff, and the employee's like, it's crap. I want to go back to my old process. By taking a start small approach, you can bring them along on that journey with you and help them build confidence in the solution. And the way that ideally it always works out is they're coming saying that they want more. They're coming to you saying, I love that it does A, B, C. Why can't it do D, E, F? And you're able to go, because we're 6 months in and D, E, F is at 9, 12, and 18-month markers. But we're getting there.
Plus also, when you've got stakeholders engaged and invested in this, they will move mountains to get things done. I remember 3 years ago, I was working on an application modernization project with one of the big banks in Dubai. There were 3 applications that we were modernizing. One of them was called the WPS, Wage Protection System. There is a government mandate here. Whenever an organization has a salary payment go, it's registered with central bank. So it's logged there and comes back, just as a record. And the bank had agreed to modernize these 3 applications. But the technical owner of that application hadn't been engaged in that process. What should have taken 3 months was a failed project after 18 months. It just got canned. Because one of the key stakeholders wasn't there. So just putting roadblocks in, roadblocks in, roadblocks in.
Okay, so we'll introduce you to Ali and Aisha. Ali is an operations specialist, and Aisha is the CEO of the company.
So what we like to do is have a bit of fun, put some characters up. What we're going to do is we're going to show you now workflows that Ali has and workflows that Aisha has yesterday, because they weren't using these tools properly yesterday, and then today, because they're using these tools properly. And the whole idea here is that we can show you the before and after. We go into a bit more detail with Ali, in that we will show you how Copilot is being used, or how ChatGPT is being used, even to the point we put some prompts just to make it obvious for you. Not that you need it to be obvious, but we like to drill home the message. And then with Aisha, we don't go into that level of detail because you already understand it, right? So, operations specialist, analytics and reporting being Ali's main focus. So, what do we have here? We've got 5 processes that you can read. I don't need to read all of these, right? But you have the process up on the top. I'm sorry, you have what he's achieving on the top, what his task is, and how he's doing it at the bottom, right? So if Ali is looking to track updates on his supply chain, he's going to be speaking with colleagues. He's going to be looking through emails. He's going to be looking through Excel documents and making manual queries on those. A lot of manual work. If he's then looking to identify those inefficiencies, he's going to go back through the historical data. Maybe he's a whiz. I mean, Rob is a whiz on Excel. Maybe Ali is even better. But still, he's opening up these documents. He's going through pivot tables and all this sort of stuff to query the data. Emails and phone calls to resolve challenges with the suppliers. And then guess what? After he's done all of this, he then needs to take this and explain it to his leadership.
His favorite task.
Yeah, his favorite
It's
task.
the one he loves doing the most.
So how's he doing this? Word, PowerPoint, all those necessary evils that we go through. And then obviously that's not enough because you briefed the leadership, but you need to tell your team what's going on as well. And you can't use the same, well, you can use the same presentation, but really you shouldn't, because some of the language you would use for leadership, super high level, concise, straight to the point, not much explanation. Your team, I want them to understand, really understand. So you're creating 2 presentations here. A lot of manual work. So how can this be sped up, made more efficient? And not only that, but how can you reach a high level and then consistently reach that high level? If you've had a bad weekend, you come in on a Monday morning, energy levels are low, and you're doing this on a manual process, quality of work dips. Whereas if you're using these tools, you're able to get to a level and then consistently churn out work at this level, right? So, Copilot, Microsoft Copilot 365. Hands up who doesn't know what that is. And it's fine, put your hand up. Cool. So, I'll explain it very quickly.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
So Microsoft Copilot is Microsoft's inbuilt assistant into Office. The easiest way of looking at it. So your normal Microsoft Office tools that you use, your Word, your Outlook, or Excel, they've built an AI assistant that works into that. Remember Clippy? Anyone old enough to remember Clippy? Clippy used to
You
have
remember Clippy?
This is like, Chris is saying, yeah. This is like Clippy on steroids. All right? And it actually works. And is getting better. You've all used ChatGPT, so imagine ChatGPT plugged into Microsoft Office directly.
Which actually it is, because Copilot is powered by GPT.
So that's what your Microsoft Copilot is.
So Ali now is using Microsoft Copilot 365. There are many Copilots, by the way. So when you see Copilot here, it's Microsoft Copilot 365, the Office assistants, right? So Ali is going into Microsoft Copilot to draft the content that he needs, right? He's going then into ChatGPT because he's not just a one-trick pony, and he's using ChatGPT to go through that Excel spreadsheet and to identify the bottlenecks, and he's taking it a bit further and asking it to suggest ways of improvement. He's then analyzing and then summarizing that data so that he can prepare himself to go back into Microsoft Copilot 365 to generate a structured report specifically for leaders. And actually it's really cool because you can define, like you can in ChatGPT, you can define the tone of voice, the approach, the types of words that are used to tailor content to the certain audience that you have. So very easy, quick couple of prompts, bang, 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 bang. And then guess what? He needs to do the same for his team. So he then just puts the report back in, or he goes back to this step and then just changes the parameters in the prompt. Give me more detail. Give me 4 bullet points for each point to explain to my team what the challenge was, why it was a challenge, and the consequence of that challenge, let's say. Should we go into a bit more detail there?
I was going to say to Carlo's piece earlier on around that consistency of output. That's what's key. So Ali's doing these reports on a weekly basis. If you're the leadership and you're looking to see the reports, what you don't want is a very detailed report one week and not so detailed the next week. What you don't want to see certain types of information one week and something different the next week. Maybe Ali's been busy, maybe he was out having a late night with Shisha and is a bit tired the next day when he's doing it. For whatever reasons, as humans, we are inconsistent. With these tools, you get that consistency across the board. And the reason why we talk about these as being today and the first piece being yesterday, ChatGPT, everyone here has used it. Right? It's $20 a month if you want to pay for it. You don't have to go to your IT teams and do a big transformation to start using it to get it turned on. Microsoft Office 365 Copilot, you can just go, it's $30 a month.
But you do need the company's permission.
You do need to speak to IT and get them to turn it on for you. But again, it's a very, let's turn on this feature function element. It's not, we need to go and install a new system. It's not, we need to go and figure out our data. The way Copilot actually works is it looks at everything you have on your SharePoint. So if you're already using Microsoft 365, it's just looking at all of that anyway. So very, very easy to implement, very quick to turn these tools on, very quick to begin to get value back out of them.
So we're going to explain each of these just to bring it to life to you. So using Copilot, and the way you use Copilot is very similar to any other generative AI, if you know how to use it. And that's the trick, right? Most people use it and they will put something in like, look at this, do that. You need context. And we'll go into frameworks later, actually. So look, very simple prompt. Use the attached emails and the Excel spreadsheet and the PDF with all the shipping options. Draft an email to supplier X. Request an update. Blah, 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 blah. Now, what is this actually going to do? You've got the emails, the spreadsheet. You've got 3 documents there. It's going to read, analyze, understand those 3 documents. This is almost the framing. And then here you've got the request, the task. So how long would that take, Rob?
How long would it take to put the prompt in?
Let's say,
or if you're doing it yourself?
Let's say you start it before lunch. You have an hour lunch break, and then you finish it after lunch. How long would that take?
With the tool, 1 minute extra on top of my lunch, before and after?
Yeah, super quick. And if you don't like the response, and I encourage you always, look at the first response any of these tools gives you, and then go back in and say, I didn't like this for this reason. Can you do 1, 2, 3, 4? So you can have a wrestling match with Copilot 365. Maybe that takes you another 3 minutes. And you've done this in an hour and 5 minutes with an hour lunch break included. So yeah, you're able to use something like Microsoft Copilot 365. If you've got these files saved within your Microsoft SharePoint or your OneDrive, click, 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 bang, 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 it's there. Now, certain tools are better at certain things than other tools are better, right? Microsoft Copilot 365 is there for Microsoft Office. So Word, correct me if I get it, I always miss someone. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Teams, Outlook,
Loop, Teams,
Whiteboard, Access also, and then you've got loads of other Copilots, right? I personally believe that, and I hope no one from Microsoft is here, that ChatGPT is slightly better in Excel than Microsoft Copilot is in Excel. Controversial, maybe. That's my experience. So when we go to the next, we've now gone to OpenAI ChatGPT because we feel it performs a little better. Very simple prompt. Very simple prompt. And actually, that wouldn't be the prompt that I advise you to use, but we don't want to take up loads of real estate. And we'll tell you later how properly to prompt.
Carlo, can I ask a quick question, please?
Yeah, sure.
You just made a statement there saying that you feel ChatGPT performs better. What's the rationale behind that statement?
So ChatGPT is a generalist. There's one activity I do with everyone who's like, oh, what do you mean? If you go to ChatGPT and you type in, tell me about yourself, it's going to say, I'm a generalist, generative AI model here to help you on various different tasks. That's a generalist. If you then create a specialist, you then focus that generalist capability in one area. So you could argue that, and actually it's a very strong argument, that Microsoft have taken the generalist and they created a specialist within the Microsoft Office suite. there's no logic, to answer your question, Chris, there's no logical explanation as to why ChatGPT would be better performing in Microsoft Excel than Microsoft Copilot performs in Excel. There's no logic to it at all. We're using these tools all the time, all day, every day, and it's just our experience.
Just personal preference. You would expect over time, though, that to Carlo's point around being the specialist, that Copilot will get better. And one of the big differences that does exist between Copilot and ChatGPT, let's say even if you're looking at Excel or even if you look at PowerPoint, is its ability to do something. So in Excel, it can filter if I wanted to filter. It can bold some text if I wanted to bold text. So it's beginning to move towards actually being able to take an action. Whereas with ChatGPT, obviously, I'm just doing the analysis, right? I'm just getting it to review the data and I'm asking questions. So I think we'll begin to see, as they continue to evolve over time, Copilot being able to take on more actions, which will put it back ahead. But for the use cases today of just being able to look, analyze data, give me insight, help me write a report, we feel that, yeah, ChatGPT is just a bit better suited for it.
But they're improving like quite literally on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So if we're at FESPA 26, maybe we were saying forget ChatGPT. So now we're using ChatGPT again to create a summary. So you've got the reports, and we're talking here about a prompt. We're using a tool and a prompt. We're loading information into a tool. We're asking the right question, prompt, structuring it in the right way, and this thing is responding immediately, right? So when we go, and we're not going to go back, but when we look at the manual process versus this augmented process, it's not automated.
Nope.
And actually, a lot of people say we're automating things. It's not automated. It's you putting a prompt in and getting it to help you, right? So it's not automation. We laugh about this all the time. So very simple prompt: create a summary of the report, and then highlight these areas, right? Super simple prompt. Never use a prompt like this, guys. We're just showing you the example. And then back to Copilot to generate the reports focused for leadership. Now, and again, this is the benefit of experience. So Microsoft Copilot 365 does a really good job at creating PowerPoint presentations, at creating structured content directly in Word. Very, very, very good job. So, very simple prompt. We're in Copilot. Copilot is this purposeful fine-tuned model, so you don't need to work as hard in the prompting as you do with GPT, which is a generalist. But you put this prompt in, give it the data, and it's going to focus on, you've mentioned leadership, so it's going to use wording and language style which is appropriate for leadership. You've asked it to focus in these two areas here, and then we've given it some additional clarity, additional instructions. Ensure clarity, avoid lengthy explanations for a quick understanding.
For me, there's another piece that we have big at Koshima. We refer to the 80% rule. PowerPoint for me is a great example of that, where if I'm preparing a presentation for leadership and I've used Copilot PowerPoint to help me build that presentation, we still need to make sure we review it. But the 80% rule for us is it gets us 80% of the way there. Doesn't necessarily get us to that 100% piece. And if the expectation is it will get us to the 100% piece today, we have the wrong expectation. So we go 80%, I still need to review it. I will probably still need to make a couple of adjustments. But the one big thing to bear in mind is, if you get Copilot to generate a PowerPoint presentation for you, and you send that straight off to your leadership, and your leadership asks a question because the presentation was wrong, you can't blame Copilot. You can't blame ChatGPT. So we need to make sure you're checking your data, checking the output, reviewing it, making sure you're happy with it. That's another big thing. But for me, PowerPoint's a great place as a kind of realization of that.
Or even worse, if you're just downloading it, putting it into an email and sending it, and then you get asked a question on it and you can't answer it, and then you start blaming these tools, you're then going to start eroding some of the confidence in these tools when you're doing yourself a disservice.
And the final step?
Yeah, and then what are we doing? We want to revise the language for the report, for the team. It's just a change of the prompt, a change of the direction. That's going to spit that out, and that's probably going to take 30 seconds. You could then go through various different iterations. It's going to take you longer to read and understand it yourself, to check, than it is to generate a new response. And also, this is going into a bit of detail, with these tools, ChatGPT and Copilot, if you have a response, you can change sections of the response. You don't have to regenerate the full response. There's a feature in... Sorry, I'm going off piste again now.
All right.
How are we doing for time, Chris?
We're good.
We're good?
We're good.
There's a feature in OpenAI ChatGPT called Canvas. Anyone heard of Canvas? Yep. Anyone used it? Okay, so Canvas, at the moment, you put your prompt in, it responds. Don't like it? You argue with it, right? Oh, you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right. Canvas is a tool that enables you then to put the response into a canvas. You can then highlight certain areas and you can edit within that document. So if you're creating a report, you don't need to regenerate the full thing, because every response is going to be, even to a tiny degree, different to the previous. So you know, it's like plugging holes in a boat. You got that one, then another one comes up, then another one comes up. With Canvas, you can focus your efforts. You can do the same with Microsoft Copilot 365. In a Word document, you can change certain sections. Just, I want a black run off piece.
Very, very good for if you're looking to build longer reports, couple of pages. Whether you're in either two, you can keep the main part and just change or focus on the sections and get it built bit by bit. Again, back to when we first saw these tools coming out, the expectation was, I'll put in a couple of words, put in a small prompt, build a report for my leadership team, and I'll get a beautiful 5-page document out. We've now realized they don't work quite like that. However, it can still help me build that 5-page document a lot quicker, and Canvas was a big step towards that, because I can now build the document in section by section, and it makes sure that it always knows what is in the document as I build it using the Canvas.
There is another off piece. There is another feature in Microsoft Copilot 365 for PowerPoints coming out, where you can guide or configure PowerPoint to use your brand guidelines for PowerPoint presentations. And you can also get it to only use images which your company has approved on an approved part of your SharePoint. So now, instead of it generating something that looks good but maybe isn't in your brand guidelines, or using those images that are signed off by your organization, it will do that very quickly. There's very less manual work. That 80%, 80-20 rule, still stick to it, but maybe that 20% is less work.
Yeah.
So they're developing all the time, these tools. Ibrahim.
Ali changed name.
He's changed his name.
Yeah.
So Ali has become Ibrahim. So Ali, Ibrahim's his middle name. So Ali Ibrahim, his dream is for real-time supplier communication, because actually what we set out, the way he's working today rather than yesterday, is an augmented manual process. It's not automated. It's augmented manual. He's still working with a tool to get the job done, just that tool is a lot better and he looks like a superhero.
But so what he's also doing is he's doing the same tasks repetitively. So he's getting the tool to help him be more efficient, but it's still the same steps, same process over and over again. So he has a dream of, right, how can we make this even more efficient? How can I even get better at this? So as Carlo said, step one is real-time supplier communication. Why does it have to wait? Why does it have to wait until I action something? Why can't I just see it when I want it? Why can't I make it available to anybody else, to my leadership team, for them to see when they want it? Why do they have to wait for me to build these reports? How about being able to proactively identify bottlenecks? So normally the bottlenecks are identified when Ali Ibrahim has looked through the emails, the Excel sheets, and said, oh, I can see something about to happen here. How about a system that proactively does that for you? On-demand report generation. So again, why have to wait for me to generate it? Why can't it just be generated automatically? Why can't a member of my team come along and kick off this process when they want to report or to check for an update?
And what is that? So something like an on-demand report generation is one step further. Rather than you going in and prompting the tool, what you would do is you'd work with someone like Koshima, of course. You would take a step back, you'd look at the business process. You would identify the steps required in order to go from A to B. You would then look at automating those steps, plugging in various different data sources, maybe looking at various different files on OneDrive or SharePoint to pull information. And you go through a process of linking they're not automated, they're not manual, the semi-automated, manually triggered steps, and you just link them together. And there's various different tools that help you do this. N8N, Zapier, these sorts of tools, they're workflow automation tools. And you have various different steps, and they're programmed to understand that step one is preceded by step two, and so on and so forth. And so then you could have big red button, generate a report for me.
Continuous process optimization. So again, why have to wait for the report to come out? Why have to wait for those recommendations? How about we get those recommendations on the fly when the system has proactively identified a bottleneck? So it's also great to say, here's a bottleneck. Next step, right, give me the recommendations. How do we fix it? Actually, maybe don't give me the recommendations, action. If it's within a certain remit, action the recommendation. And across the board, that just gives simplified team collaboration. So the team gets to spend less time doing heavy administrative tasks that are repetitive, that are, for all intents and purposes, for a lot of people, quite boring and tedious, to actually being on to offering more value to the business. We talk, as Carlo and I said at the very start, we've been in emerging technology for a long time. The mantra around turning from a function, from a cost function into a revenue generating function. Well, to be revenue generating, you need to be adding value. How can we add value if what we're doing is a lot of manual, tedious, repetitive tasks over and over again? If you're bringing in or going to Ibrahim Stream, it allows him to sit and go, okay, the manual boring stuff is done. I don't need to worry about that as much anymore. I've now freed up more time for me to sit there, look at the business, and think about how my function can deliver more value to the business.
So when you go back to work on Monday and you remember the AI lab and you think, right, empathize, define, ideate, think big, start small. And you remember Ali Ibrahim, as I've now renamed him. What we set out is what he was doing yesterday, how he's using the tools today, and then we set out the vision, the big picture here, right? So if you go through, you do this internal work of getting your teams together, do the empathy piece and the define, and you write this down, and then you go to your technology partners or your IT team, you can say to them, look, this is the challenge we've got. This is where we want to start, but this is where we want to get to. So we want to start here and plot a path towards this vision. Aisha, wow, Miss CEO. So she spends a lot of time in reports, a lot of time in meetings, and what she needs to do is she needs to manually review these because she's quite a controlling CEO. So she needs to manually review all the reports from the departments. She doesn't adopt the 80-20 rule, she adopts the 20-80 rule. She attends lengthy meetings where she discusses the bones of strategy, how to align goals, time. She doesn't have an assistant, so she drafts a lot of the memos herself. And she does this, obviously, emails and phone calls. And then Word and PowerPoint are the two tools that she uses to monitor the execution of the strategy. That's a lot of inefficient time. That's a lot of time spent doing things that she needs to do to get that job done, rather than focusing on the job itself. Now, Rob and I, we have, should I tell them about Founders?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Why not?
Okay. So we love little hacks. We have a meeting in the diary, 6 a.m. every Friday. We never attend that meeting. Never. I don't think we've ever
never.
done it.
No.
We never attend that meeting at 6 p.m. on a Friday.
Still there though.
It's always there. But we go into that meeting several times a week. If we're on Microsoft Teams and we're talking, and something we're discussing is quicker to discuss it, the question comes up, Founders, ? We then go into the meeting that's at Friday, 6 a.m. This meeting is set to record and transcribe. So whenever we need to discuss something, Founders, bang. We go into Founders, heads pop up. Hey, Rob, how you doing? We have our discussion. After the meeting is ended, a transcription is available to us. That transcription is then picked up by a tool that analyzes it, looks at the main points, who said what, which are the action points, any dates of that we've committed to, and then emails it back to us. Now, that's really cool, and that you need a bit of technical nous to be able to do that. But concepts, right? Concepts. Record and transcribe meetings, very powerful, because you've now got a record of that meeting. If you don't subscribe to Microsoft Copilot 365, you can download that transcript as a TXT file, is it?
Text file, yeah. No,
TXT
normal
file.
text file, yeah.
It's a Word file.
Word file, yeah.
Download it as a Word file, upload it into ChatGPT. Who said what was discussed, who committed to what when. Really good, like really powerful. Now, when you talk about, where are we now? Here.
Second one, yeah.
Attend lengthy meetings. Cool. Someone's got to take meeting notes. You're reliant on that person focusing. It's a brilliant hack. But having the reoccurring meeting that's set to record, we use it like a meeting room, basically. Really cool. Let's move on to see how she does this.
Why have you got more steps here? I thought this is supposed to make it efficient. Less
well, hang on,
steps,
go
faster.
back.
With 4 steps.
We've got 4 steps. Go
Four
forward.
steps.
Sometimes, when you're using AI, you need more steps. But those steps don't necessarily mean it's taking longer, or it's less efficient, or more inefficient. Also, quite often, when you're using these tools for the first time, it's going to take longer to do something. How many times have we heard, yeah, I've tried that, but it's just quicker just to do it. Well, actually, there's a learning curve to everything, right? And the payback is once you've learned. So step 2 is divided into 4. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these. Chris, we're good on time still?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So ChatGPT to synthesize key points. I don't like the word synthesize. Why do we use that? Don't like that. It's my fault.
I'll blame ChatGPT first.
That's my fault.
Yeah.
Actually, it was Copilot. Download the meeting transcript, put it into ChatGPT, put it into Microsoft Copilot, put it into Google Gemini, put it into any of these generative AI tools, and ask it what you want from that transcript. It's a great way of getting the key points. So Aisha has aced the first bit. Now, the second piece if you remember, was spend loads of time in meetings. It was all around strategy. Rob, we just flick back just quickly, just to remind everyone. Attend lengthy strategy meetings to align on goals. Let's go forward. So, why not use your favorite generative AI tool to generate potential strategic goals and align them with organizational KPIs? So, upload your KPIs, upload your goals, objectives, challenges, your mission, values, whatever you've got, and ask it to spit this out for you. Then, step 2.2, no AI. Have a meeting. Go into your reoccurring 6 a.m. meeting that you never attend at 6 a.m. Have a discussion, but have that discussion guided by the output that you've had from 2.1. So you're starting from a decent starting point. You then have the meeting, record, transcribed, using the AI-generated suggestions as a starting point, and then guess what? Use the transcript to finalize the goals. Now, it's a little cheaty there, really, to be honest with you. Maybe you do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, maybe. But what you're doing is you're being very focused. You can have much shorter meetings. You're being guided by the output from 2.1, however many times you do that, right? Instead of having lengthy meetings, you can go in, eyes on the prize, 15-minute meeting, 20-minute meeting, stand-up type meetings, right? Very, very, very efficient.
We talk about, that's it, it's the efficiency piece. So we talk about how can we become more efficient? How can we do more? I would love to be fully prepared for every single meeting I walk into. It's an ideal scenario. Do we have the time? No. So what can we work with, or how can we get better prepared with the time we have? Again, it's using tools like this, giving it those key points of data and going, okay, help me understand this very, very quickly. For me, one of the other big benefits to it is it also means I get to ask it questions in a language I want. So if I'm 15 minutes before a meeting, I'm going into a strategy meeting, we've got a 10 deck or 10 slide, 15 slide presentation. That's great. Previously, maybe I might have skimmed through it if I had time. Here, you can give the presentation to ChatGPT and just start asking questions. Because there's slides that maybe aren't relevant for me. There's slides that personally maybe I don't think I'll get much information from. But if I was looking through the deck, I'd have to go through it to realize that. Here, I can ask, what's the 5, 6 really key questions that are on my mind? I can ask that straight to ChatGPT, get those answers back, and then I can go into my meeting fully prepped, or a lot more prepped, a lot more ready to go, which allows the meeting to be a lot more efficient.
I think executive summaries are dead and no longer required. The whole idea of an executive summary was so the executive didn't need to read the document. Just give him or her the full document, access to these tools, and that individual can ask the questions that they want that are relevant to them.
Yep.
It just popped into my head.
There we go. I think just even take that executive summary idea. It's concepts. Take the step back to concept piece. We've all done proposal writing. We've all put an exec summary together for something. The exec summary is still written from my point of view. So I'm writing it saying, these are the important things I think that are in the bid. This is what I think the person on the other side will want to see. This is what I think they will want to read. This is the key points I think that they will want to come across. Get rid of it. Let them just go and ask the questions that they know are key for them. Right? You could give the same proposal to 3 different executives. They could all want different pieces of information out of it. But normally they might have the exact same exec summary.
I think it was our 4th consulting engagement with Dubai Air Navigation Services. The VP of the support services there's 2 sections to air navigation. One is the air traffic control towers. The other is the business that runs the DAN's operation. So we put very, very long, detailed use case reports together. This is when we were still kind of foot finding as to how much detail we should put in. And I know the VP very, very, very well. Local guy, lovely, lovely, lovely gent. He's currently biking around Oman, actually. And I knew he's not going to read these. He doesn't even read my emails. So what I did is I created a custom GPT, and we'll go into this later, fed these use cases in there, and I said, Yusuf, use this link, ask whatever you want. I knew he wasn't going to read, and I knew he would like the novelty of being able to ask. Same sort of concept, like really cool.
Aisha's dream. She didn't change her name. Imagine being able to get AI-driven strategic simulations. So great, as a CEO, you're like, right, we need to do all this contingency. What happens if we do? What do we do if this happens? What do we do if this happens? What do we do if this happens? Normally, you're potentially paying for business analysts to come in and help you. Expensive software. No reason why you can't start getting some of that information out using generative AI tools or having it built into an existing tool you already have. Dashboards. A little bit like executive summaries, dashboards are potentially going to become a thing of the past. Because you create a dashboard, what's the one big problem we have with dashboards? Again, somebody else has thought, this is what I think this person would like to see. Create this dashboard. Dashboard gets outdated very, very early. I don't want to see that information anymore. I want to see something different. Right? So being able to go, okay, let me have a conversation with an AI tool. Show me this as a dashboard. Build me a dashboard that shows me this 3, 4, 5 key points of information, key trends. How about helping us get coached through a meeting? So one of the reasons why meetings take so long is because some people struggle to figure out which points to bring, how to bring up the points, how to discuss them, how to articulate them in a proper way. There you go. Have a coach helping you get through the meetings.
Actually,
helping you coach.
Sorry.
Go on. No.
This is not. This is possible today. This is absolutely possible today. It's entirely possible. You have Microsoft Copilot 365. There's another tool called Copilot Studio, where you can create your own AI employees, copilots, customized copilots. You can configure this with a process. It can attend meetings, online meetings. I love it. We're getting a little frown here, and I like that. So you could have, Rob and myself could have an online meeting. We could configure a copilot, invite it to the meeting. It can then listen to the meeting. It's not really. What it's doing is it's reading the transcript. It can identify what's going on in the meeting and then give recommendations or pointers. Oh, you didn't think about this. You didn't talk about that. Guys, you need to agree what the AI lab is going to have as the third segment. You need to do that. Or you're in an appraisal, and it can look at the KPIs of that person, and it can say, right, you now need to discuss this. So this is, it's a vision that Aisha has, but she could realize that vision today.
Okay, proactive goal alignment. So again, why have to sit there, do goal planning, strategy planning, etc. at the start of the year? Let's do it proactively based on maybe some of the dashboards we're seeing, maybe some of the initiatives we're coming out of the strategy meetings with, being able to actually go, right, if you're going to the strategy, here's the goals we recommend going for with that. Do it at a business level, do it at an individual level. Go back to that manager who has 20 people reporting into them. They have to sit down and do goal alignment with every single one. They have to think about what they're doing, their roles, responsibilities, how they're growing into that. Being able to get AI to help with that and just give, here's the recommendations, and let that drive the conversation. Automated strategic reporting, same thing. Let's just automate a process we already have, make it more efficient. Why wait for me to trigger it? And AI-led automated organizational agility.
Same.
Okay. At this point, guys, so one thing we said at the very start of the lab is we'd make sure that you got practical insights you could walk away with, be able to leave this and do something straight away. So before we move on to the third section, where in the third section we actually will show you ChatGPT, we'll show you specific prompts, we'll show you how to prompt. All right, there's another thing, that's where a lot of people tend to make mistakes at times, is where they're like, oh, I tried using it, I put something in, I didn't get the response I wanted. Yes, there's a learning curve, but also how you prompt and how you structure your prompt is extremely important. But before we go on to that, any questions at this point? Anything we've talked about so far that you're not sure of? Does it make sense? You want to know more about?
I might just share one observation of a use case. So last week I was really pushed for time, and I had a meeting about a research project. I was thinking, I haven't got time to fit this into my diary, but I'm going to be in the car for an hour. So the colleague I was working with was also in the same position. So jumped in the car, on my iPhone, set record for the conversation. We had a conversation about trends and strategy, identifying key questions for some research we're conducting. Took the transcription, put it into GPT, organized it into the key themes, and extracted the key questions. And it saved me 7 hours. So I just thought I'd share a kind of, and that came from being curious about how to use the tools and implement them. So I've really loved what you've been saying, but I thought I'd just share that.
Yeah, no, cool. And I love that. Like, I love it. I love it. You're in the car with a colleague, and instead of sitting down at a desk, you're driving, having a conversation, probably a very relaxed conversation as well, meandering around the topic, going into details. That's a great use case. Like, fantastic. Sorry?
Just getting back to Ali's workflow before, let's say Ali's sick and he's taken his laptop home, and a HUD has to step in and take over Ali's job for the day. Is it easy to for other people to use the same workflow processes that Ali's developed?
So, yes, but it depends. So if Ali is just beavering away using ChatGPT well and not sharing the process or the prompts that he's putting in to get to a certain thing, then that exists in Ali's world, right? However, if you were to create a prompt library, you want to do this, use this prompt. That's one way around it. Another way around it is there are 1, 2, 3, 4, and I heard of a fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. There are 4 subscription levels to ChatGPT, and I think there's a 5th one coming. So free, $20 a month, $25 a month for a team account. So the team account enables an organization to buy X number of licenses, allocate them to team members. You're then able to share conversations. You can create these custom chat GPTs, which we'll show you. I keep promising this custom GPTs. You can create these custom GPTs and have them accessed by the team. That then gives you the repeatability. If you're using Microsoft Copilot 365 and you're using that to achieve something, then again, you're subject to the same. You would need to probably share those prompts. Unless you had a Copilot studio and you're creating a Copilot. Have I missed anything?
No. To give you a full, so Carlo said there was 4 subscriptions. So you did free, the $20, $25, and then they recently announced a $200 per person subscription. So that's if you're really diving into research is the main use case for that. So really diving into kind of PhD level research. That's where they recommend using that one. Otherwise, for most people, the $20 a one if you're using it for yourself, or $25 a month per person if you're in your organization. That they're the 2 that will suit most.
And
I'm interested to know whether Perplexity would be a better choice for research than GPT because of its current search facility.
my view, yes.
Before you, can we just do a quick hands? Who's heard of Perplexity? 1, 2. Anyone else? Okay. So Perplexity, like ChatGPT, like Gemini from Google, like Claude from Anthropic, it's another model that we can interact with. Where its big difference is it's focused on ability to search information. So rather than, let's say, doing a Google search, you would go to Perplexity, have a conversation with that when you want to understand and learn more about a topic. It's the main use case for Perplexity. So you want to kind of write a document, you have some internal information, you want it to help you write a report, not necessarily the best use case for Perplexity. You want to help research and know more about something, great use case for Perplexity.
So and this is my personal view, Perplexity is better for research than a ChatGPT. OpenAI did release ChatGPT search, I think in November time. So it has search capabilities. It was a bit trigger happy when it first came out. Search engines, Google, everyone knows Google. Do you remember Bing, Microsoft Bing? Microsoft Bing has been renamed Copilot, no surprises. It's free to everyone to use. If you download the Microsoft Edge browser, you will see one of the logos you had before, but you'll see top right hand corner, there's like this blue kind of logo. That is really good for research as well. When that first came out, I said to Rob, I never thought I would stop using Google and go to something like Microsoft Bing. And I was exclusively using that. But Perplexity, rather than ChatGPT, yeah, 100%.
I want to, just before we move on to the next piece, to your use case that you gave. So the sitting in the car with your colleague, having a conversation, get it to transcribe. Love it. One thing I do if I'm at home, cooking. So say cook dinner, takes half an hour. It's repetitive, right? One, if you have the ChatGPT app installed on your phone, I'll throw on a set of headphones and I'll activate voice mode. And what that means is I can go and have a conversation with ChatGPT. So I can sit there while I'm cooking dinner, stand there while I'm cooking dinner, ask it about a topic, it gives me a response, and I can start asking it to dive in further. I can start giving it scenarios. What happens in this case? What happens in that case? And all it's doing is playing back to me in its voice mode through my headphones.
We've known each other a long time, but Rob's never cooked for me.
No.
Men can't multitask, so I'm not coming round. The slowest interaction, the slowest use of these tools is us typing. So I very, very rarely type into these tools now. I use the voice and I speak to it. But I don't go into voice. I don't like voice mode personally. And this is personal preference because it takes so long for it to respond. So what I do is I speak to it and I get it to write to me. I speak to it, get it to write to me. This is the quickest way of using these tools I found.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so we move on to the third section. So this is going to show you ChatGPT in action. We'll show you a prompt framework. Before we talk about prompt framework, has anyone heard the term prompt framework? Prompt frameworks? Yes? Maybe? No? Mainly a no? Okay. And the other one before we move on, Carlos talked a bit about custom GPTs. Who's heard of? Can I get a hands up? Who has heard of custom GPTs? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Good. We'll actually we'll teach them something today. That's good. Okay.
So the how not and the how to. Use your favorite tools. Rob, I'm going to let you take sales.
Okay. So we talked
I like the other one.
We'd CEO Aisha a minute ago. We'd Ali Ibrahim in operations. So let's look at sales. So in sales, in this scenario, take a very example. We have an Excel sheet that contains a load of our product information. So digital print company, we have a lot of products. Here's an Excel sheet that contains a load of that. Just a snippet. Obviously, it keeps going down. I've got lots, and I've got lots of information across on the right-hand side, all right, around
Why do we have this? We've got this here so you can get some context as to the exercises. Otherwise, you think it's just hocus pocus.
Yeah. Okay. So we give this Excel sheet to ChatGPT and say, okay, you know of this, you know of information about the products I sell. All right. let's go and have a conversation with ChatGPT. So we get a customer query in. My customer said, my customer requested roll-up stands, provide me full details and an alternative to offer. Okay. Here's my response. The product database, the Excel sheet we've given it, includes comprehensive details. Let me provide you details about the roll-up stand and an alternative option. Okay. So we get a little bit of information, a couple of bullet points, keep going, alternative option, a couple of bullet points around that.
It's awful.
It's awful. It really is, because okay, it might speed up the salesperson who's actually using this app. It might speed them up. It means they don't have to kind of go look at the Excel sheet themselves. But it's just giving them information. It's not really, it hasn't got much more contextualization to it. It doesn't really help them kind of start building their reply that you'd send to a customer. Okay? So prompt frameworks. So a prompt framework is a structure that you would use, try to follow when you're building a prompt that you would put into ChatGPT. Okay, remember your prompt is just your input. Okay, so if we go back to this, all I did was very, very basic information. All right, why? Because I'm lazy and I want it to be very quick. Hey, this is what my customers ask for. Help me. All right, ChatGPT, you can do everything. You're a silver bullet. Give me the answer. Give me the answer how I want it without me telling you how I want it. Read my mind. Okay? And a lot of the times this is where we get people coming, oh, I tried it, but I didn't get the response. It took me longer. Yeah.
And this is how almost everyone uses ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. Unless you're using it regularly and you're experimenting, you're only ever going to be at that stage. And that's criminal. It's criminal.
So there is loads and loads of prompt frameworks that exist out there. Okay, RTF is one of the most common. Okay? And it's very, very simple. Role, task, format. Okay, so I define the role that I want the AI or the user to assume. I give it the task that I want it to do, and I tell it the format in which I want the result or the output. Okay, this does two things. One, it makes me as a user think a little bit more about what I'm putting into ChatGPT and the question I'm asking it before I actually give it an input. All right, so I'm applying a bit more structure. And two, I'm telling it what kind of structured output I want. So it gets closer to knowing what I have in my mind. Okay, I'm helping it be a mind reader. So here's an example. Same scenario.
Shall I read this out? You are an experienced stand sales specialist at a printing company and provide exceptional sales experience. Your task is to service a customer request for roll-up stands. As part of your approach, you must provide a number of alternative suggestions that will help the customer in making the right decision. You will provide the following: details, alternatives, benefits. What are we doing here? We're guiding the tool. We're telling it what we expect. We're not expecting a wrestling match after that because we're giving it context. These are the two C words that we use all the time: concept and context.
Okay. So now I'm getting a bit more of a detailed response. It's now setting its baseline around, okay, details, what it's now telling me what it's going to do. It's not telling me the type of information it's going to provide me. So I know looking at this and going, okay, as you're beginning to give me the rest of the reply, you're on track with what I've asked you to do. Okay, so I already know the response is going to be more detailed and closer to what I'm looking for as it keeps going. Okay, so it's identified two products. One was the roll-up banner. It's given me some information about that. But now it's given me an extra section. It's talked about benefits and suitability. Okay. How about instead of roll-up stands, we wanted an alternative option? So it's now giving me pop-up backdrops.
And the reason it's doing that is because we've mentioned words like exceptional customer service. You are a specialist. So it's performing in that task. It's now assumed like a persona, an identity, and it's responding to that. Every single character you put into a prompt has an impact on the response.
one of the ways I specifically took it, the RTF framework, the first one being role. When you're giving or helping ChatGPT define a role, you are getting it to go, okay, but a ChatGPT, you have this amount of knowledge. Give it a role. You're very quickly telling it, I want you to focus specifically in on this.
And this is not just ChatGPT. This is any generative large language model.
Okay. Perfect. Now, so the magic of customizing your ChatGPT. So, Carlo, what is a customized ChatGPT?
Okay, so OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, any of these are generalists. They're here to guide you how to make brisket. They're here how to guide you in how to change a tire, how to align KPIs with organizational goals. They're just generalists. They don't have a purpose in life. So going from a generalist to a specialist involves something called fine-tuning. What you're doing is you're framing, you're giving it a purpose. So a customized ChatGPT is another ChatGPT which has been given context, it's been given a role, it's maybe been given some knowledge, some documents, some files, some data, and it's been given basically a lane to swim in and a purpose. So what's the benefit? The benefit is, can you do the same with ChatGPT than you can do with a custom ChatGPT? Yeah, you can. Of course you can. But you've got to give it all that framing. So
I was going to say every single time.
Yeah.
So every time you go to have a conversation with it, you're giving it that framing.
Yeah. You've got to give it the context. If you're doing it properly, you've got to give it the context. You've got to give it some data. You've got to tell it what to do, what not to do, how to respond, how not to respond. Now, if I am constantly churning out reports, if I'm undertaking a task that I do all the time, then rather than go through all of that framing, you can pre-frame and pre-contextualize, fine-tune a ChatGPT. Anyone with a paid ChatGPT account can do this. And actually anyone, much to my annoyance, I won't talk about that now, we can talk about that afterwards. Anyone with a free ChatGPT account can access other people's customized ChatGPTs that they've put on the GPT store. So the GPT store is a bit like the App Store. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of GPTs, customized GPTs, which are available for you to use. You need to be careful because you don't know what they've been configured with. When it first came out, I found one that was building a UK building regulations guide. And we can get pretty nerdy with this stuff. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, right, I want to know how you've been configured. So I'm trying to ethically hack this thing, just to understand. And I got to the point where it had a PDF from 1997, building regulations from 1997. You're in 2024, it was last year, and you're using that as a guide? So you need to be careful. But yeah, so a custom ChatGPT is a fine-tuned model, is a model that's been given a purpose. It's been given conditions, it's been given framing. It means that you can go through a repeatable exercise without all that upfront work. Bang, 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 bang.
Okay.
So here's one I made earlier. The Print Pro Sales Assistant by Carlo Pepe. It's public, actually. And it's been given that spreadsheet that we had before, because this is designed for that company. So what I might do is I might take that out and let you use it, because you could use it with your own data. It might be useful.
Yep. So let's just show you the kind of different type of response this would give. Okay. So
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Can you see? Can you see what's going on roughly? We'll explain
we'll
it.
break it down a bit more afterwards. We just want to see kind of what the journey looks like. So imagine you have a sales assistant inside your organization or multiple sales team inside your organization. Being able to provide them with a custom GPT like this that is trained on your information. You've told it how you would like to respond, the type of tone, the type of information you would like it to go through. If you saw on that journey, it asked 3 questions just to dive a little bit further and then give a nice response out at the end.
But the impressive thing for me is you saw what was being inputted, very little information. And this thing I configured to ask questions, ask 3 qualifying questions. Because I know, I used to be one, salespeople, they're inherently lazy. So spoon feed them as much as you can. Don't give them too much scope for going wrong.
The other thing this also gives, and we go back to a piece we talked about earlier on, gives that consistency of response. So one of the worst things from a customer perspective is when I contact an organization for something, it shouldn't matter who in that organization I'm speaking to. If it's a salesperson, I should get the same response from every single salesperson. The reality is that doesn't happen. Here, we can build in that, or you can get that consistency across the board. Again, to Carlo's point, we started off very basic. Forget about the framework. No need to go into detail to your input. Just my customer wants information about roll-up stands. That was it. I think everyone could see all the text in the video, but just we'll show you some of the screenshots of the kind of different level of detail it went to. So it's giving me information on the product details. It's asked me a first qualifying question. And so it wants to know more. So it's taking me through a bit of a journey. Why? Because as Carlo said, he set it up like that. Yeah? If we look at here, the question was what size and type, and it's giving me options. So again, not generic. Here's the 3 that we do. Standard, premium, double-sided. We went with standard, okay? So now it's started to talk to me about standard ones, giving me widths available, the height, etc. All information that maybe if I'm in a phone conversation with the customer, I can give them this information back as well. Second qualifying question. Okay, so we give it the answer, perfect. Now we'll start talking to me about bulk pricing. And then we're into the third qualifying question. Do we want custom printing? Yes or no? Simple responsive, nope. And now I start getting my summarized response out. All right, here's what you've asked for. Here's the pricing. If you remember the last one, yeah, it's giving me delivery information. It's giving me the option if we do rush shipping and the additional cost. And it's giving me a suggested alternative.
This stuff is insane. Like it blows my mind every time. I'm going to level with you. This took me not very long to put together at all. And yeah, I've been doing this quite some time, but it's fairly easy to put together. If I were to spend, we're all day in this stuff, right? And we've been in all day in this stuff for a couple of years. If I were to spend a day with a customer, identify they came to me with a problem. We deep dive into that problem. And then I were to use this to create a solution. Maybe I would spend half a day, maybe a couple of days with some refinement and some iteration. I would be able to get this thing to spit out a quote in a Word document that you could then just make pretty, because ChatGPT is not going to make it pretty. You know, put it on letterhead, something like that. Not yet.
Won't make it pretty yet.
Not yet, yeah. Rob always corrects me with the yet. I did ask it to prepare it as a Word document. ChatGPT's hit and miss with Word documents. It's even worse with PowerPoints. But it's entirely possible that would come out as a Word document, put a header on it, cut and paste it, put it onto a template, get it out to the customer.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So it'd give you all the content, it just wouldn't look very nice. But the looking in piece, or the making it look nice piece, you can do that afterwards.
Now, Rob, concepts.
Yep.
From a conceptual point of view, let's say you standardize in your organization how you want minutes of meetings. Customize ChatGPT, put the transcript in, same format each and every time. Let's say you're looking for attendance reports to be in the same format each and every time. Custom ChatGPT. It's there to be used for any activity, any task that you're doing often with these tools. And it's not limited to OpenAI. You've got Microsoft Copilot 365, you've got Copilot Studio. Some of the others are a bit lagging. I mean, Google Gemini you can't be doing this with at the moment.
Not to this level, no.
Grok you can't do it with at the moment.
No, not to this level. Anthropic, no. No.
But I mean, this is one of the great things about OpenAI, is it's really focused. It's kind of consumer focused that can be used in business.
So after sales, we got marketing. Okay. So for marketing, we'll start off with something very basic. So can you build me a marketing plan for my digital print business? Okay. To our point on, awful prompt. Why? I've given it no context, I've given it no background, given it no nothing. This is what it's come out with. On first pass, what do we think? Good or bad? Hands up for good.
Wow.
Good? 1 good, 2 good, 3 good. Okay, hands up for bad. 1 bad, 2 bad, 3 bad, 4 bad. Okay, Carlo, why bad? Carlo's gone two-handed. Why bad?
I want context. I want understanding. It's just giving me a load of stuff.
Carlo, can I challenge that though? There was a severe lack of brief there.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
So
it's a lack of brief, yeah.
So now the marketeer is 2 steps on from where they were with a poor brief. Surely that's positive.
I mean, look, it's good, but in terms of what's possible, it's awful.
So let's have if we dive in. So it's already telling me what my target audience is without me telling it. So it's designing something for me without me even knowing who we should target, because it's just decided this is your target audience. Nowhere in our prompt did we say size of company we were, where we were based, anything like that. We just said we have a digital print business. So it is saying, or it is already decided, well, this is who your target audience is. Maybe it's not for me. It's already told me my marketing objectives. Nowhere in my prompt did we say these are our marketing objectives. It's decided this is what we're doing. We've decided, our ChatGPT has decided my business is going to boost online orders by 40% into next year. Sounds great. But is that what my business actually wants to do? Is that one of our goals?
So what you're going to find as we go through it, it's the same old story, right? Rob, let's fast forward to because I think we're a bit tight on time.
Yeah. So advertising plan again, it's okay. So we'll go back to the same framework. As we said, there's multiple available. We'll just use the same one in this scenario, RTF. So let's apply the framework here. Go on. There we go. So we'll show you what it looks like in a minute. Marketing executive, giving it the task, giving it the format. Okay. But now we can see it's come out to me with 3 key pillars that we need to look to focus on.
Chris likes that.
Chris, so is this one good? You said the first one was good. We got a market here, okay? Is this good? Yes, okay. Better. Okay, so we'll take it's better. Definitely think it's better. By using the framework though, what's also happened is it's meant I've had to put in more structure. So I've had to give it a little bit more context. And as part of that, I've also been able to rein it back. So telling it you don't have to go as far, we can be a bit shorter.
Yeah, but Rob, you spent 2 minutes rather than 30 seconds. I mean.
Yeah. Okay. So 3 key pillars: digital presence, strategic, next steps. Give me next steps. That's great. Similar to Carlos, so I created Print Pro Marketing Campaign Specialist. Now, I cheated a little bit on the question because I didn't want it to just give me a plan. I asked it for a specific campaign. Okay. So it's done a bit of research. It's first come back to me and said, there's 2 E's. Which one are you talking about? Oh, sorry. It's asked me a different one. It's asked me to, what's my goal? So I said, okay. I said I want to increase revenue. Okay, it's giving me, so let's come back to your next step, but a question to me. Do I have a specific segment I want to go after? So we're going to go after individual consumers. Okay. Started giving me some headlines we can work with as a campaign name. It's giving me a key offering piece that I was looking at. Started churning out marketing strategies for me. But again, a bit more relative to what I wanted to do.
So the custom...
It's even come with a timeline. Sorry, Carlo.
So the custom ChatGPT means that you put a whole load of work in upfront to define what you want, and then you've got this repeatable execution. It's a very easy way to prove the concept. When you're going through your empathize, defining, and you want a proof of concept, this is something that can be leveraged in order to do that. We have, we're in all these like AI communities, and they're global now. We have a friend, colleague, I'm thinking Mike in the UK, AI Accelerator. In his consulting, what he does is he creates one of these as a solution. Customers are using these as like in their business, enterprise level production solutions. So
I was just going to say the last piece just on this one before. One thing I really liked about this one is, if you notice at the start of the video when I put my prompt in, it does a bit of a search because it needs to understand what it is, when the dates are. It gives you a link to its sources. So you can sense check the information going, okay, you've given me this point of info, let me figure out where the source came from. Do I trust the source? Very, very important.
So we said at the beginning that Koshima has got together with XLMEA, Ian, our partner in the back there, who's been in digital print for 30 years. Did you say 30? I think it's 30 years.
Doesn't look it.
Doesn't look it, no. So what we, as Koshima and Excel together, what we have in the pipeline very soon is a number of webinars focused around different business functions. Actually, we're kind of shy at doing this because we don't use these kind of sessions to plug stuff. But we've taken our function-specific training and we've given this a big angle on digital print, big focus on digital print. Everything is contextualized within this industry. So we have a number of paid webinars coming out. And then we have focused training and enablement with a lot of hands-on use of how to use these generative AI tools as an online course. So what we have is we have a QR code, takes you to a very simple expression of interest form. So if you want to have a look there, register some interest. Once we have the dates to release these, which I think is end of February, beginning of March, that sort of time frame. There's no commitment to register your interest. You'll be informed as to when we'll be releasing these. So I'd invite you to do so. Do a bit of research as well yourselves. You're looking now, you understand that frameworks are important. The way that you structure your prompts are important. You can do a lot of self-learning. Obviously, you need to invest time and effort to do that. Something that we've done and we can speed you up with. But you don't necessarily need to pay someone to teach you if you're able to invest that time yourselves. If you're doing this on an organizational basis, then of course it makes sense, right, to bring someone in to do